Live from the floor of the NYSE, that's a market open.
Yeah, hello. This is the 6th week already of this project. This is already in July. As you can see, we are trading the Emini S&P 500 futures market in this live day trading room. You can see to the top left here the symbol, because I removed the image from the first videos now. You can see ESU6 is a September expiry 5-minute chart. And in the bottom you can see the volume indicator. This is the main thing I'm trading off of, volume and the 5-minute chart. Many people trade this 5-minute chart, therefore I think this is most prestigious to be doing the same. And many of my entries are actually placed prior to bar close. A bar will close every 5 minutes. And I will be calling these trades well in advance, 20 to 30 seconds in advance. I would say, as you can see here, I will be placing my orders right on the chart, so we just should get filled on our initial prices. So to be filled is very important, obviously, and you could see that I pushed my target in, or my entry actually, to 85s. And then if we hit our first profit targets, which is roughly 1.5 or 1.25 away, we will be taking out of this market break even. So this is something you could see many times in the previous videos, and I will be repeating many of those trades here, break even trades, 50% I'd say at least. So you can see here now that we are actually trading also on the 5-second chart. This is something I do intra-bar normally, or even if I don't see the exact support and resistance levels of my 5-minute chart, and I have to make some quick decisions here before the bar closes. You can see the time, it's 9:34 now in the bottom right hand corner. The seconds are ticking away faster because this is a playback, and obviously we want to make such playback videos to speed up the process, because I'm reviewing all the week trades from Monday to Friday. I will be uploading those videos now here every Saturday or Sunday, maybe a video in between if I have a very good trade and I want to give you some video education in the meantime, or I want to share some information with you. I hope we can share information here. I installed a Discord channel, a chat application. You can find the link below in the description. Very useful, I think, for free, and we can just start from there. If you have any urgent pressing questions, you can ask me anything, and I will be happy to explain anything to you, especially if you are a new beginner. Obviously futures trading is something which many people are familiar with at the moment already when trading these markets, but I think for many others this is something very new, obviously, and futures trading is not something you should take very easily. You can lose a lot of money here and make a lot of money as well, depending on how many contracts you trade. So I'm trading 5 contracts on this demo account. I think this is something where we hit around an average for a normal investor, because to make such profits and losses here of sometimes, let's say, $1,500 plus or minus on one single day is something a normal investor can sustain, but definitely not someone who is just trading with very small accounts. But obviously you could also trade one contract. Why not? You can also trade one and then double up for 2 contracts, because my strategy suggests, and I think you should be doing the same thing, to be able to trade both, double up the contract amount, or even enter pre-opening session. The pre-opening session is everywhere from 9:30 to the left. You can see that on the bottom volume chart. When you see the huge spike up in volume here at 9:30, anything to the left is pre-opening session. There you have a margin requirement for one contract of around $6,000, I would say. Let's round it up a little bit. It's a bit less, 5,600 something. And you have to have this money in your account to place such a trade here, so with one contract only. So this 5 contracts already require $30,000 account, because I want to be able to double up to 10 contracts. But 10 contracts mainly intraday. So intraday here, as you can see, is anywhere from 9:30 onwards. So I unfortunately had 2 break-even trades here right from the open. I will be trading this here off the chart, obviously placing my orders here on the chart. I'm trading a demo account for YouTube purposes, but later, once we move into a live trading room and have a little bit of an established system going, I will also be trading on a live account. But I don't think I need to advertise here that making money in such a market is easy. It's definitely difficult, and we should be taking it easy and step by step. Don't get too overexcited, because this is a long project, and if we can sustain some profits on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, we should be very happy. I'm aiming for roughly 10% here on a monthly basis, but this can be obviously changing, and I will be talking about this later as well. This is not something we can aim for every single day or every single time, because the market will push us around from time to time, and we will be taken out of trades many times, negative as well. But you can see I'm placing my orders, so the opening session sequence is completed, because we could see a doji here at 78.50. Therefore, I will be changing my count to demo 3 for intraday, trying to achieve some profits here. 78.75 entry for average entry price. As you could see here prior in that video, I entered 2 positions. One initial entry normally at bar close or at bar open, the next bar is open, and then I will be trying to enter another position a little bit later. This is not a bad trade, I think, but since we have this continuation to the downside, and if we push through 78 one more time, then we could actually see a continuation to the downside. So this is not something unusual, but a small retracement in this area when we reach to some kind of support and resistance level here, pre-opening low or pre-opening high, we could normally see a small reversal retracement into range again. But as you can see, I will be taking out of this market break even, and I think let me just go back here. I can play back that video, obviously, that is very good. So I will be exiting this trade because I can see a little bit of downward momentum, and we will be looking at this, if this was the right decision later. Obviously, I'm also making trading decisions here along the way, even though I have to follow a stringent strategy and the rules which I wrote down. But sometimes I'm not doing that 100%. You can see here, for example, we almost hit our stop. This happens very rarely, that we actually push all the way down to our stop, one tick, and then we reverse all the way back up. So I got very worried at this point that we pushed through this level of 67.75. Again, we are here on a Monday, right? This is the 5th. Or let me just double check. Maybe this is a Tuesday, because I already missed Monday. The Monday was also the same thing like Friday last week. Recording issues, same problem. Hard drive was full and I pressed recording. I was thinking that this recording worked, but actually the recording was just interrupted, and then the whole file was gone, kind of. Had to go to the waste bin. But you could see in the very beginning of this week that we still saw some profits here. But you can see now the market seems to be reversing all the way back up. So we should be staying in this position again. Like last week, we did not enter the market 2 times on our second entry, which gave us a follow-up mistake, a consecutive mistake. And the same thing happens here. We should be in this market at this point in time. And you will see we will push up, and we will not hit our stop here of 76.75 anymore, and we should be taking profits here, 1,500 roughly, instead of taking this loss of around 1,000. You can see we almost hit our profit target. Profit target in this case would be 81 or 81.25. Very interesting trade, I think. but obviously not something we can really influence here. Unfortunate, but happens. So this is the 6th of July. Again, the opening trade here. We don't need to get filled on 74. We should actually trying to enter this market at immediately short right from the open. You can see a 73.50 direction, preferred direction was short, but then we hit our first profit target. You can see that here 71 to 75 already from the open, and we would be taking out of this trade break even anyway, so this does not make a big difference. We open really in the middle of the pre-opening session range of this Emini S&P 500 futures market, and we are trading this live in our live trading room. Okay, there is one more trade here, it seems. Let me just see if there's any trade to be made on this last bar. Ah yeah, we are in... Yeah, we were in a long position, and I closed this position for 3 ticks loss here. As you can see, this is maybe something I estimated here on the day, that we are actually pushing further short. So I will be doing this in advance, and I will be calling these trades in advance as well. You can see a downward continuation, so it seems to be that I want to be in a short position. But yet again, you can see now that we took another trade here, 789.50, but it seems that this entry was already very low, and we are taking out of this break even, hitting our first profit target there of 1.5 points roughly from this 69.50 entry. I entered the market way too late, I think, for this short position. Now I should be looking at another short position here in this retracement again, because the overall direction seems to be rather short. And as you can see, we are taking out of a trade in, again, break even. You see, we have a little bit of a retracement. This could be the second approach. Normally it's approached the second time retracement into range. But then again, a break-even trade, because we reverse all the way back down. So I should be looking at some short positions here. As you can see here, quite a few entries on that day, and the short position is opened here at 72 for 10 contracts. So I think we already doubled up that position. Initial entry should have been after the close of the second green bar. In 80% of the cases, I will be opening a position around the close of a bar, so 20% of the time intra-bar. Just for your information, because obviously we are trading the 5-minute chart of this futures market, Emini futures market. And as you can see here, unfortunately, we're pushing up quite rapidly, and we are taking out of this with a significant hit here on our opening trade. So this did not work very well on this day, and we should be not concerned about this, because this is a continuous project, continuous approach here, and this will happen over and over again, that we have losing days and losing trades. We just have to keep moving forward, and should not necessarily readjust our strategies. We just have to be following them stringently. The same thing will happen here on this opening trade, in anticipation of a short position. Because we made our average true range already, I don't have this indicator here on this chart, but I will be also showing you this average true range indication and strategy a little bit later again, because average true range could be very helpful if looking at some kind of retracements or reversal areas. But as you can see here, we are again in a negative position, and we are taking out of this market. So we are in quite a difficult territory now, because yesterday was rather difficult, today is difficult. So we are 4,000 behind on our demo opening sessions account. It seems that our opening trades are not working very well at the moment, and we should be really looking at improving some of our entry points here. Maybe I have been doing a few trading mistakes along the way, but still I should be working on improving these positions. So let's see if there are any more trades in that day. You could see a lot of momentum to the upside in the pre-opening session here. This is already the 8th of July 2016. I will be just checking. 8th of July is already the Friday, so this seems to be an interesting day again. You can see here that we opened again and we hit our stop one more time. Let me see if that actually happens here. Not really, we didn't hit our stop, but I was exiting this market as soon as I can, because all of this downward momentum here again seems to be rather challenging, and the market seems to be reversing down, at least from this opening. So this week is quite tough. We are pushed around significantly here. As you can see, a lot of volume in the pre-opening session, also from 1830. You see a lot of long green bars over there and some retracements. So very volatile times at the moment. Maybe this is still part of this recovery here, of the Brexit recovery. As you could see in the last week, we had this difficult situation there in Europe, and this may be the after effects, but as you can see here, we are still at a very high price in the market, so we hit a certain low of retracement while in this Brexit, somewhere below 2000 roughly. But now we are again 100 points on top, and that means kind of that people don't expect that this will have a lot of after effects or immediate after effects which have a negative impact on the short-term day trading. Maybe in the long run we will be looking at more problems, but at the moment it seems to doesn't have such an effect, and we could see an instant recovery in this market. So again, I'm trying to exit this market because it is really pushing me around. So I got out of this position again here at 2107 roughly on the following bar. You can see that here the small arrows are indicating my entries and exits roughly. Some of them are not showing actually, but roughly you can see that. So we see the spike down from the open, unfortunately then a continuation to the upside. So I was pushed around from one level to the next, and then a breakout out of this pre-opening range. So I was in anticipation of this breakout out of pre-opening range, as I said in the previous weeks and maybe also this week, that this pre-opening range is decided here from any time before 9:30 US Eastern Time. You can see the time frame here in the bottom, 9:30, and also on the right hand bottom you can see the time, the clock ticking away there, 9:56:30 roughly now. The seconds are speeded up because I play back these videos, but you can see now that we are approaching this pre-opening session's high, and pre-opening session is from, on this chart, from around 12 o'clock in the midnight until now. But I can show you that later also in an example. So it seems that we had a little bit of a breakout here to the top, 2110. But actually the breakout did not really continue at this stage. Let's see if that will happen later. You can see a little bit of weakness to the downside, yet you could also see some weakness to the upside. So it is rather 50-50 at this point in time, but you can see we are slowly moving out of this range, and finally we break through this range. So this could mean that we actually have a continuation here to the upside, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this way. Because we're already trading on the intraday session now, we should have a much shorter profit target, the blue line here. And I pulled my stop to break even already. Let's see if we get stopped out of this market. Obviously I want to be achieving the 5 points because we break out of this range. And I think I exited this market with some profits here. Let's see if that is actually shown some point in time. It might be that these playbacks here are a little bit overlapping, and I'm still struggling sometimes with my video recordings, but this will get better over time. Once we move further down the line in this project, I will be having all days perfectly recorded. Also, if we have breakout trades which lasts for all the day, I will be recording those as well. Even if they are break even, I will be recording them. And that means I have to speed up this video quite significantly, because obviously in a real session, this would mean that we run a trade for 2 or 3 hours roughly into the session. So this is obviously not something we can sit through. We have to be speeding up this video, go from the initial point to the end. So this is also a very typical trade I do. This is the return to breakout of pre-opening range trade. So you can see a short position here. I already entered this market. Sometimes that's what I was saying as well. But I think this I can't really avoid, because I don't want to record the full session right from the open to the end for 3 hours if nothing is happening. So I might enter the market here and then I start video recording, because sometimes I'm not filled and then nothing happens again for 15-20 minutes, and I have 15 and 20 minutes of no trades. There would mean that I have to cut out these scenes later, and that's a lot of work. So rather I want to just start the videos prior to a trade. Sometimes it happens obviously that I'm already filled on a position, but as you can see, these positions are easy to be filled on as well. So you can see these entries here right on the chart. Nothing I want to hide here, basically very straightforward. And as you can see here, everyone could be filled on 13s. There is nothing unusual about this fill. You know, we ran a little bit above these levels, so 13.75. And even we opened on that following bar a little bit higher, 13.25. So that means that everyone would be able to enter such position here. So let's see if that is still, we are still in this trade. There was a, you can see that it was a positive trade, a good trade again, I think. And I set my profit target here roughly at the pre-opening range lower, somewhere in the middle. You can see there's 2 blue lines. These are actually the high of the pre-opening range, 975 roughly. And then this would be the target area, kind of these 2 blue lines here. So we are filled on 1050, giving us small profits here again. So we end up here 7,975, at least some profits, I would say. So it's not too bad. At least recovering some of our pre-opening trades. No, of our opening trade, which was not successful again, unfortunately. So let me show you, there is one more trade here, I think, but this video is speeded up rather quickly after. Normally, as I said, I would be entering positions roughly at bar close. So you can see now in the bottom right hand corner, it's 10:23. So that means, oh, now the time is ticking here away. So let's see, this is a long position actually from 11, because we could see this retracement into the range, the pre-opening range roughly at 975.10 actually, as I can see here, 10,210. And we could see a reversal into this range again. And now you see the last green bar just prior to this red bar forming. that we already had a reversal out of range again, so a breakout out of range again, with some volume, some momentum, and we can see a very nice tip supporting this resistance level here of 2110. So I entered in long position in anticipation of that, but let's see if that is actually a successful trade or not. Okay, as you can see, we hit our first profit target, again stop to break even. Nothing I can really do about this at this point in time, so if we reverse down again, we are taking out of this break even, and that happened exactly now. This is unfortunate sometimes, but also it helps us not to do too many trading mistakes. You could see here this red bar pushing down again. The last one may be dangerous, you know, maybe showing that we actually push into range again, because it seems that the breakout did not appear. But again, a long position, because you can see weakness in this last red bar here. The volume is quite low, below 25,000 compared to the bars before. That could mean that we actually see some kind of reversal in this area again to the upside, and normally we approach this target area a second time of 13, 14 or 15. Let's see if that is actually true or not, or if we'll be staying in range. So again, a break-even trade here. You can see 1075 entry. It's quite a nice entry, I think, an improved entry. And my first target area should be around this level here, 13. But obviously we want to trade the breakout out of this range. So the breakout out of this range could continue. And also I will tell you one thing now, additionally to break out of pre-opening range. This is actually not the breakout of pre-opening range anymore. This is just a reversal into pre-opening range, and then the breakout of this pre-opening range. But additionally, as you can see here, 1375 is also our intraday breakout of opening range. So this is accounted for. I think I have mentioned that in the first week already. This opening range is decided from 9:30 US Eastern Time until 10:30 US Eastern Time. So for the first hour, we look at the high and the low of this intraday session. Intraday session is basically the high and the lowest price of this from 9:30 to 10:30. So you can see here the highest price is 1375. And normally, if you see, you will take the low and the high and obviously see what's the margin or what's the difference, and then you take this point value. Normally it's around, I mean in this case, I can't see it right now, but I would estimate around 7 points or 5 points or something. And then you would put this on top of the opening range. So basically on top of 14, let's say, so 20 should be our initial target here for this breakout. But obviously I got an improved entry. I got in at 1075 and not at 14. So I have already an improved entry. And I set different profit targets here, because this happens many times actually, that we break out a certain amount and then we would be reversing into range again, taking us out of a trade break even. But you can see here I set these different targets in increments of around 1.5 points or 1.25 points, just to be able to take some profits on the way, because we are at a very high point in the S&P at the moment, and to have such a significant breakout with a little bit of low volume in the pre-opening session, or no, actually the intraday session of this, you can see here from 9:30 to 11 where we are at the moment. This is not very much volume. You can see just below 25,000, and it's getting less and less. So maybe a breakout does not necessarily have to be valid or go that far, I would say, to all the way up to 20s or 21th. Maybe possible, but it's not necessary, and we want to take a few profits along the way. This is just a fun thing I did here on that day. Maybe I should have been more strict on my strategy and just placed my order at 2,120, because you will see we will actually be, throughout this day session, we will be moving through each and every one of our profit targets, which is quite nice. But you can see small reversals here in the meantime, but then again later in the session, almost at the very end, we will be pushing through this 1750 and also 2121 level. So this is the 8th of June, and this is obviously a Friday. Friday has been our greatest day so far. It seems to be rather interesting that Monday seems to be our difficult day, and Tuesday, and then towards the end of the week we can improve results. But let's see if that continues or not. And I just want to show you here briefly these two profits. We will be running through them, and then I can show you the end result as well quickly. But you see, we are almost at the very end of this session. You see, we are almost 4 or 5 hours into the session, just about to close, and then we will hit our last profit target. So really, really amazing breakout trade out of this opening range. We had one of those in the first week, I think one of those in the second week. They seem to be appearing every week once, which is very nice, I think. I'd say this happens maybe 10% of the time, but it seems to happen more often. If it's once a week, it seems to be 20% of the time. But overall, I think it's less. It is 10% of the time that these breakouts will happen, and they will work with improved entry scenarios. If this happens 10% of the time, I would be very happy as well, because as you can see here, the profit targets are rather significant, and if we can take all this profit here to the upside, we should be very happy. Okay, before this outro starts, I want to show you the profit here around 9,000 something, 800. Demo 1 was, let me just go back quickly, I think minus 5,000. So we are still profitable. We end up this week, let me just review that quickly. That would be week 6, right? We end up this week with some that should be, I think, break-even week roughly, because we started this week, let me just review that quickly here, around 1,400. That would mean 3,500 loss on this Demo 1 account. This is our account 4, and on Demo 3 we had, let me just see that here, on Demo 3 we had around 7,500. That would be XC, as you can see here, 7,500. And at the end of the week, we have this 9,800, so it's 2,500 profit. And actually, we have a little bit of loss here on our demo account, Demo 1, which is 5,000, you can see here. So that would actually be 3,500 loss. So I think we closed this week actually minus, so negative. For $1,000 profit. We got a little bit unlucky on a few trades here and there, especially in the beginning of the week, and this last trade was recovering some of our profits here at the very end. I'm very happy with this trade, obviously, that we could recover some of our losses early in the week, but we should look at everything a little bit long term, and we can, as long as we don't have huge losses here along the way, and we can still perform in a break-even and positive level. As I said, 10% of account value is only $3,000 per month on this $30,000 account, and we are still up this amount. As you can see here, we are roughly $3,500–4,000 up, so that is good. And we are moving into July now. Let's see the trading results over there. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.